So moving from our pre-alignment inspection, it's now time to set up our alignment heads. And the best way to do that is to make sure all of these corners are touching the sidewall of the tire evenly, and to make sure it's good and pressed on here. And this is kind of like a gas cap. You tighten it until it clicks. Try to do your best to make sure this upright arm is facing 12 o'clock as evenly as possible. And then we're gonna move on to our forward-backward roll for a further setup of the machine to calibrate it. So once you have all 4 alignment heads on, you can go ahead and scoot the car back and then pull the car forward as you need to until the computer calibrates. And then you can move on to your caster swing, which it's important to note, you need to take out your pins so these plates can swivel. And that way you can begin your caster swing. You can go in and install your brake pedal depressor, which just mashes your brake pedal down and holds it against the seat to ensure that none of the tires roll. And also, you align your steering wheel to the straight up and down position and put in your steering wheel lock. So that way you can adjust your steering linkage as well.
Okay, so now we're gonna start on working on the alignment for the rear of the vehicle. So this is where you need to start first. Anytime you're aligning the vehicle, you start with your rear and then you work your way to the front. So on this vehicle, it has a set caster, honestly, the way the struts are set up on the rear, so you really can't adjust the caster on here, but you can adjust the camber and the toe. And for the toe, you would move your tie rod ends in and out for your toe in or your toe out, whichever direction your wheel needs to move. And for your camber, you have these eccentric screws that I don't see on this vehicle, so evidently we must can't. And also, you will want to check your torsion rod, your strut rods also, because that can cause some havoc in your alignment also. So we're moving on to the front of the vehicle for the alignment. Now when you get to the front, you want to start off with your camber, caster, and then your toe. So you want to make sure you have just the right camber, which would be negative camber or positive camber. So you try to get it in that fudge factor area that's recommended, and that's on both sides. And once you get your camber in line, some vehicles you can mess with caster at the top. It's like some slotted holes at the top of the strut tower, but that's only on certain vehicles. Now when it comes to the toe, that's where your tie rods come in. This is where you're gonna do a lot of your adjustment for your toe in and toe out of the vehicle. And a lot of times it's gonna be a lot of fudging around to get this in line, especially if anything like it's custom wheels or anything on the vehicle. You gotta do some fudging around. But in most cases, I think that will wrap it up. All right, so back to the caster. Like I said, on certain vehicles, you can mess with the strut tower up here to adjust the caster, but in this case, this vehicle has a set caster. But some vehicles, it has like a little slotted hole where you take out a little insert out of it where you can readjust your caster to whatever angle you need it adjusted. And that wraps it up for the caster.
To the rear of the vehicle, and we got the tie rods, and I'm gonna show you how to demonstrate how to adjust them. Closer. All right, so here you got your sleeve, and as you can see, it's pretty loose right now. So what I'm gonna do is tighten it up, show you how to tighten it up. So you hold this in line. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna just do it with my hands. As you can see, it's tightening up. So that's how you do that.
All right, we're moved here to the front, and this vehicle doesn't have camber or caster adjustments from what we can tell. So we're gonna move on to toe adjustments. So for the toe, what you wanna have is 2 wrenches that'll fit both this nut here and this. It's a little tight fit, and you'll wanna loosen this nut away from the outer tie rod so you can spin this. And you'll also want to pull this hose clamp off of this boot so the tie rod will spin on the inside of the boot and not crush the boot or rip the boot in any way. And you'll spin this, this is part of the inner tie rod on this vehicle. Spin this to get your adjustments either outwards, which will push the back of the tire out, and the front of the tire inwards. And if we take this, we can get this hose clamp off of here, like that. And when you push it, the back of the tire outwards, the front will come in, and that's negative toe. And if you go the other way, it'll pull the back of the tire inwards, and this will go out, and that's positive toe. And you spin this until you get it into the correct specs. And once you've done that, you hold it in place. You'll tighten this nut back up until it's snug with the outer tie rod. And then once you've done that, and get this wrench off of here, you'll take your pliers and you'll put your hose clamp back onto your boot so that your boot stays sealed and doesn't get any dirt or debris into your inner tie rod.
So since we're done now, what we're going to start doing is start removing the things that we had put on the car, starting with these things. All right. Back up. All right. Come back. Take this alignment head off. Or how, like to say, this thing. Excuse me, sir. This must be the car. You look like you drive something like this. Okay. I'm gonna shut this off. Alrighty now. Let's take it for a test drive.